Briefing. I'm Stephen Ridgway. Yesterday was Patch Tuesday. Nothing terribly exciting going on in there. Article that I quite liked from Sophos identified 6 CVEs as notable. They are generally remote code execution vulnerabilities or privilege escalation vulnerabilities. So just as a reminder, make sure that you are pushing out your Microsoft patches over the next few days, and also bear in mind that as always these days, the time between patches being made available and exploit code going rapidly public is decreasing time span, so you've got to get on with it. WordPress Stripe payment plugin is, well, yes, it can leak customer order details. So the WooCommerce Stripe Gateway plugin for WordPress is vulnerable and allows an unauthenticated user to view any orders placed through the plugin. The issue is around improper handling of JavaScript parameters, which makes it possible basically for attackers to extract information from any versions of WooCommerce Stripe Gateway below 7.4.1. So the vulnerability was actually discovered in the middle of April, but there's been a patch out for a couple of weeks now. So if you are using WooCommerce Stripe Gateway, and it is a very popular payments gateway for WordPress e-commerce sites. It's got, according to the article on Bleeping Computer, it's got over 900,000 active installations. Definitely worth making sure you're up to date. And as always, a little warning that yes, WordPress plugins might update themselves if you've said auto update, but they don't always. So it is absolutely worth going in and checking to make sure that you are not vulnerable to this particular attack. So a little while back now, there was a spate of attacks against VMware ESXi devices. It was seen that backdoors were being installed, and the attackers then were able to access guest devices. It was unknown how they were doing that. It was assumed that they needed admin rights somehow to get to the virtual machines. Well, it's actually been recently discovered that there was previous unseen techniques that allowed attackers who have access to the ESXi host to upload or download files from the guests. Now, very long time ago, I was working as an organization that did a comprehensive migration onto VMware. I mean, this is going back a long way, but it was pretty much all servers and all desktops. One of the security concerns at the time was, can we be certain that malicious access to the host server would not allow attackers to manipulate things in the guests? And at the time, there were no known vulnerabilities that allowed it, but I think it showed a great deal of foresight from the security team in that organization. Because we on the infrastructure side look at it and go, well, that's just going to be impossible. You could never do that. Um, but as always, any possible attack that you look at and go, oh, nobody's ever going to do that. Well, yeah, in time somebody will work out how to. So this is a good example of that one. So all I would recommend is that if you are using VMware, do keep on top of your patching. I'm not sure whether this particular vulnerability has been patched, but I suspect it has been. So keep on top of it, and that will then kind of close the loop on this one. So all the various components around the attacks from the end of last year are now understood, and hopefully that will allow you to mitigate those vulnerabilities and deal with it. There's been an uptick in using apparel, clothing brands, and so on for phishing scams. Some work been done on domain name registrations, and threat actors have been impersonating over 100 apparel, clothing, footwear brands, Nike, New Balance, Vans, and so on. And this has been going on for nearly a year now. Some of the sites appear to have been registered over 2 years ago. So clearly some thought being put into this. And as one of the anti-phishing methodologies is to look for how old is the domain that I'm being directed to. Well, if they've been planning it out for a while, these spoofed domains may well actually pass that test if they're 2 years old. So yeah, best thing to do is train, give your users all the information that they need around how to identify phishing emails, and use a reputable email protection service, and hopefully you won't get your users won't get hit by this stuff. But yeah, watch out. Even if the domains appear to be legit, they may not be. And then finally, from me today, a quick update on the MOVEit vulnerability and the Clop gang exploits. So it's becoming clear that this has been very widely exploited by, this vulnerability has been very widely exploited by Clop. Yesterday I saw an article that referenced that Transport for London had been compromised, and the details of the ULEZ users, which is basically anybody in London who has a car, have been taken. Discovered today that Ofcom has also been attacked. Yeah, what can we say? So definitely watch out for this. If you haven't put in place mitigations and protections against this yet, I think it would be at the point where you need to assume compromise and work out what's been going on. This, I'm sure we're going to find this data being used in all sorts of ways to disrupt and generally cause a nuisance for people whose data has been stolen, as part of distraction techniques and disruption techniques from Russia as part of the war. So yeah, keep on top of it. But there are some pretty big organizations out there that have been targeted, but I doubt if that's the only, those are the only organizations whose data have been taken. So that's all from me for today. Hope you have a great Wednesday. It's all downhill from here to the end of the week, so it should be good. I will speak to you all again tomorrow morning.